Welcome along everyone to another Friday Live. I hope you've all had a great week. Weekend is nearly here. Golf on the agenda, I'm sure. Got lots coming up in the show today. Simon and I are going to be chatting our usual waffle and taking all of your questions.
Standard golfer's hand on hip stance.
So stand by on the YouTube, fire any questions at us and we will get those answered for you as quickly as we can. We're also going to be joined by some other team members today. Kate Davey, our strength and conditioning coach, she's going to be joining us and going to be sharing her journey on golf, learning it, playing it and experiencing the highs and lows of the game. And then we're going to get Pat in. Pat is our after sales manager. He's going to be sharing his experiences of how he's got to this point and what he offers as a service for customers that have purchased their golf clubs and the support that he delivers. And then we're going to have Tom in, one of our fitters. He's going to come and join us for 5 minutes. Again, just give his perspective on his fitting. So be very interesting to hear how he fits and his experience compared to Simon. So obviously, Simon, the wingman, how are you? Had a good week?
Very good, yeah. Been a really interesting week actually. We had a few bits on. Obviously, an event on Wednesday, which was great fun. Had 45 odd people in, which some of you may have seen online as well. Yeah, been a fun week. Sadly, the golf day got rained off, which was a bit of a shame, but we'll rearrange that. The much needed rain at the golf courses were requiring sadly dampened the day yesterday, but we'll get that scheduled in again. But no, nice week.
Great. Yeah, and of course, Wednesday, if you didn't check it out, at the time we had it streamed live, our launch party of the expansion here at Precision Golf. Obviously, the 3 extra bays, we've got an expanded gym and obviously our putting studio as well, which we are keep promising you coverage on, but we're just having some technical errors with the difficulties, should I say, with the computer. Obviously, there's a lot of tech running through that computer at the moment and making sure that the stream quality is good. The computer is not liking it at the moment, so we're going to address that, as I say. So we're going to bring that to you as soon as we possibly can, so stay tuned for that. So the launch party with Colin, yeah. What a show that was. I mean, if you've never had the opportunity to meet Colin, I mean, for someone that has been around the game for as long as he has and still show the enthusiasm is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, he loves golf. I mean, he said, chatting to him in the past, he's always said, one of the questions I've asked him is, do you still like playing golf away from tournaments? And he loves it. You know, he loves being in an environment where there are people with shared interests and enthusiasm. And you think what he's seen through his career since the late 80s. This is a guy that's been at the top of his game for such a long time. Achieved things that, will we ever see 7 Order of Merits in a row again? That
no chance.
Record, that I think he was saying 99 is best year. He didn't finish outside the top 20 in any competition. It's just it's Tiger-esque.
Absolutely.
Jack Nicklaus-esque. It's that kind of level. So to have been working with him for such a long time, to have his support with the studio and come and do the opening, Tony Johnson and Simon Holmes here as well. There are some great stories, and thankfully they're all clean, which was great.
Important.
But I mean, from Ryder Cup to tournaments to the Dubai shot, there's such a wealth of experience that it's just fascinating to hear. He's seen from an equipment side of things such a transition through the years. Great fun to have him.
It was really quite fascinating because he brought his Dubai Desert Classic driver along, as you said, got a plaque on the 18th at the Majlis golf course out in Dubai, and he whipped one away, and I think from guys out there that think that they'll swing it straight and good and proper, he whipped it out the hill. We had a face to path value of 0, so it should have gone straight, and he whipped it out the hill and it had quite a big fade on it, and that just talks about the gear effect on golf clubs and that kind of thing. And obviously, I mean, it's not a club that he's going to be using all the time, but it's certainly one that was built for him. To see him suddenly hit a little fade there without striking it out the middle, for some people would have gone, oh, I don't understand that. So gear effect.
To have had barely any, we stood talking to us for
absolutely
half an hour beforehand, a driver that still had the dirt from Dubai on it, so clearly hadn't been used for a long time. He jokingly said he would have been 5 yards short, but to still, the standards he's maintained over the years, that swing just hasn't changed.
No.
It's wonderful to watch.
And,
Wonderful to watch.
and when he talks about the game, it's so simple, isn't it? I mean, playing through the ball and a high finish, you know, it just grip the club super light. I mean, not enough, I think, in my mind is played on light grip pressure, but light grip pressure comes in many guises and backed up by different technical ingredients. But just the simplicity, even after all of these years. But I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the coaches that he's worked with. They're not, you know, Dennis Pugh for many years, Simon. They're not. I mean, they're very knowledgeable guys. I don't think they're particularly techie. A bit like Butch Harmon, not particularly techie. You know, field players, old school coaches, and I think that really fits him with his career.
So it suits him down at the
absolutely.
ground. Absolutely. Colin's swing isn't textbook by any stretch of the imagination. It's very much his. It's very linear.
Yes.
Which is part of why he hits it so straight. So you could do a lot of damage by trying to change that too much. And so he's probably been fortunate that he's had coaches that have worked with him and with what he's got, rather than going, you know, this is, you know, say if you take kind of, you know, mid-90s with, you've got Norman with Butch Harmon, Faldo, Ledbetter, and going, right, there's sort of some sort of methods that people thought was right, that's the way of doing it. To have people went, you know what, this is you and this is the way you do it. You're quite good, so let's just make the most of that.
Absolutely.
That's got to be part of his longevity as well.
100%. I mean, there's so many players that have been out there and just kept on ticking through year on year. He's been one of those guys that obviously was an exceptional performer, but clearly had, if you haven't watched the video, really professed it, because you really get some great insights. I mean, we hosted a golf day at St George's Hill, and I asked him how did he manage to get 7 in a row, and he talked about it on Wednesday evening, about the mentality of 16 greens, hole 4 putts, going to shoot 68 more often than not. Yeah. And it was just a very clear-cut discipline. You know, it sounds simple, and as we all know, the game is not that simple, but it was a really, really nice way of putting, well, this is what I had, this is how I tried to strategically go out there and play it, and it delivered.
And the game plan, the strategy was simple.
Yeah.
It was a case of hit the fairways. If you hit the fairways, you can hit the greens. If you hit the greens, you've got birdie putts. But if you've got 16 of them, at his level, you're going to hole some. And actually, that's, I think, something that as amateurs, I absolutely put myself in this, we all take on shots that we should never even dream of. We all go for pins that those guys wouldn't go for.
No, that's right.
And I think because we see the best players at the top of the leaderboards the whole time, then all we see is the guys and girls playing the best golf, and they probably are shooting at pins because they're super confident. But actually, most of them are playing for a safe side of it. Yes. And so Colin's game plan of, as he said, I don't like losing golf balls. Well, actually, if you keep a simple, definite game plan, that works quite well on any course. Yeah.
So, and it makes you feel secure as a player, doesn't it? Yeah. So that was obviously a fantastic evening. As I say, can't recommend enough for you guys going out and checking it out. So let's introduce our budding new golfer within the team, young Kate. Come on in, Kate. Now we've only got 2 microphones, so we're going to have to share this one. So maybe you kind of hold it. And
shall I give this one to you?
Well, no, I'll hold it. Let me hold it, and then I'll interview you. You know, we'll ad hoc, ad lib. So, Kate, obviously you've new to the golf in terms of playing. Obviously, a trainer for a good few years. How long have you been working in the industry of strength and conditioning?
14 years, maybe. Yeah, I think about that. So, yeah, and then I took up golf about 18 months ago, but it was just before lockdown. So, obviously, I started with you. I'd never ever hit a golf ball at all. I started with you. And then I think we had a few months, and then lockdown hit, so I didn't really do much for a little bit. Just swung spatulas at home in the kitchen. And then started up again when we were allowed to start hitting balls again. So I think I went first on course last June, maybe.
That's it.
Over at Horn Park. And then you put me in a pro-am about 6 weeks later.
Well,
Kate likes a challenge.
Yeah.
Kate works best with a challenge.
Yes, exactly. Red rag to a ball. So, how's the challenge of learning a new game in your 30s been for you? I mean, anyone that's learning a new skill at any age is tricky. How's it been in terms of A, the acquisition of movement, and B, the mental stress of it, because the game is torturous in that way, isn't it? I mean, as seasoned players, I mean, we sort of take it for granted that we're a bit robust in getting out there and facing a bogey or a double bogey and get back at, well, allegedly.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and for you, you know, as we all know, I mean, you're an Iron Man contender. I mean, that is, you are not wired up right if you're doing that kind of intensity. You're not, though. I mean, I train with Kate, and the intensity that you train at is incredible. How has the problems that you face with golf out on the course differ or are likened to your training in the gym when you're facing a tough workout and your back's up against the wall?
So I think in training I can always perform more or less within a certain percentage, a small percentage. So when I'm in the gym, I can kind of always hit a certain mark. And I discovered very, very quickly with golf that I think one day I was out playing with James and I had the worst round of my life. Like, it was just, I think you might have been with me as well, Simon, on that round at Woking.
Yes.
Yes.
It's etched on his mind.
And then the next day, I think I was playing either like a pro-am or something with you and Rajika, and then I played the best round I've ever played. So from going from when I'm training and I can almost kind of keep my level like this, with golf I find it so up and down, which is obviously then very frustrating.
Do you mean emotionally or your
Both,
performance?
like performance as well. I can have like a really good round and a really bad round, whereas my training is more consistent. So I think I found emotionally and psychologically that quite tough, that I can't perform consistently when I'm used to doing that in the gym. But I didn't hit balls for 3 weeks.
That's right, yeah.
So we tried a different way, because I'm movement sort of based and patterned. Stuart taught me all the movements, and we didn't hit a golf ball for 3 weeks, and then you just put a golf ball down. I guess I don't really look at the golf ball now. I just kind of, I know it's there, but I don't really need to look at it. And it was just a different way of teaching me. So I think it definitely worked, because that's how I work, is in movement patterns and things like that. So
But I think that bit for me was fascinating, how you did that, and I think there are so many people that would benefit from that, because a lot of golfers start playing, you put a club in hand and you make some kind of attempt to strike a ball with something completely alien, and from the beginning you're learning your movement patterns are being established to do something inefficient, whereas actually what you guys did was work on balance and movement and getting the body used to making, being stood like that and moving that way isn't exactly the most natural way to move. So actually developing some of that to give yourself the grounding to then swing a club and try and strike a ball is, to me, makes it such a better platform to work from.
then I just don't think you'd get many people, if they came to a golf lesson, they want to hit a golf ball. If they came away and they hadn't hit one. So it was obviously putting my trust in Stuart that, okay, we're just going to do it this way. Obviously, I was dying to just wanting to hit balls, but to sort of hold back and then go, no, you're going to learn this way. I don't think everyone would, like paying for a golf lesson and not hitting balls, but I think in the long run, it did me the world of good.
Well, let's see if it has done you the world of good, and
no.
let's put you on the peg. So you take that now, Simon. And so we'll give Kate a little 7-iron here. Where is the club now? Of course.
I don't know. I think we've lost the club.
Oh, yeah, of course we have. Oh, look, I found it. Brilliant.
Great. Excellent.
So I think what's interesting is when you start to put different loads on the golf. Yeah, and as you should be, right? I mean, we're all of a sudden, we're asking you to hit a golf ball and back up what we've talked about. And let's see if we can. Well done.
The thing is, that goes
Well
back
done.
to what Kate and I were talking about earlier. She said for us to stand on a mat and hit a golf shot, we've done it goodness knows how many times, and stood in the first tee goodness knows how many times. For Kate to go and demonstrate how to technically do something in the gym, we'd look at that and go, I don't want to do that. So actually, I think that's where it's a really relevant thing for any kind of golfer, let alone new golf. It's that first tee side of things. Kate first time live, not to put any, not to kind of hammer it anymore, but it's golf as a sport's a very exposing sport, and so as you said, in terms of mentally dealing with basically
Don't
failure, shot after shot after shot, which is pretty much what happens. You never hit a perfect shot.
No.
So you're dealing with, it's the least failure possible, essentially. So,
Yeah, and I think when Kate was learning, and of course we're all still learning, good shot there, when we're all still learning, social media is such a big picture in our lives now, isn't it? You know, and I think you actually honed in on one particular social media channel who we won't name, but this particular individual put in your head that if you've learnt the game on a mat,
I wouldn't be able to hit it on the grass.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that absolutely was in your head going out on the golf course, and you had to overcome that. And we had a session,
band.
yeah, and so we'll talk about. So what I wanted to do is just get people to see you hitting it, because clearly, I mean, it's not the average bear that can, you know, produce 65 miles an hour of clubhead speed. You know, lady golf. I mean, obviously you're fitting ladies and guys. I mean, there's some good clubhead speed there. The clubs are fitted nicely for her, and of course that's a terrible shot. That's all right. That's all right. Backed up with a good one on the next one. Bit more clubhead speed on that one. But you're fitting someone that can move, generate a lot of speed, and I think it doesn't matter what standard you are. If you are pulling a golf club and trying to swing it at something, that weight which they're swinging needs to be on point, doesn't it?
yeah, and with how physically strong and fit Kate is, that progression in the forces that she's been able to put through the club have developed pretty quickly. So, you know, having looked at the clubs not that, what do we call this, probably, you know, beginning of the year, with Kate's development, we kind of need to look at probably club head weight again now, because the more confident she gets, the more force she can put through, the better her technique gets, the more force she can put through the club. So actually the development of that strength and that efficiency of movement then requires the clubs to do something a little bit different.
So we've had a question from Joe Moyer. Welcome along, Joe. Thanks for being here with us. So Joe asks, is there a direct correlation between personal fitness and improving your handicap? What would your take be on that?
Yes, definitely.
How so?
Well, the more mobile you are, your strength, your balance, your core, your speed, your power, all of those obviously link into your golf swing. So if you work in them in the gym, then you can obviously put those into your golf swing as well. So,
and of course, your TPI
yes.
fitness coach, and so the screening that you do and the work.
Yeah, so we get people in. We'll look at their stability and mobility of sort of all the different joints in relation to their golf swing, and then we look at areas that they can improve. So, you know, do they need to improve on their balance and things like that? I work with a lot of Stuart's clients. It's quite a nice way to work, because he might say to me, so-and-so needs to improve their balance, so then I work on that in the gym, then they go back to the lesson, then hopefully they don't fall out of as many golf shots.
And this is Stuart Robinson, who's our biomechanics and
yeah, and he can link in as well, which is really good.
And this Stuart.
Yeah,
Well,
two Stuarts.
Nice and simple. Yeah.
You know, it might be that someone doesn't have much leg strength, and we can improve on that, then they can start to use the ground. You speak a lot about force and pressure, and then understanding that and teaching people how to use that. We can do that in the gym as well. So
But I see that from a fitting standpoint, where someone's saying, oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on using the ground, and you say, are you doing anything in the gym? Well, if you're not, like for me, fitting and probably you coaching, balance is key. If you're not balanced, you can't use forces, you can't strike the ball consistently. So I clearly am very muscular.
Oh,
and
very
spend all
muscular.
my time in
Very,
the gym,
very
and
muscular.
very much, I've said for a long time I'm going to get back in the gym, and I am this winter. But yeah, I notice now, having really not done anything for a while, my stamina at the end of the round, wanes off. My timing and the ability to actually go up, maybe commit a bit more to a shot and hit a driver a little harder, I just lose control. So there are so many aspects to it, from not just hitting a shot, but walking 18 holes, performing at the back end the same as you do the beginning. There's a reason why you know, it's such an all-around improvement from a general physical strength, speed, but just consistency of performance side of things as well.
So let's perhaps show a couple of exercises that we did that can share with people to make you understand that actually you can start to simulate the forces that go on in a golf swing. So if we can just pan the camera around here, James. Has everyone met James? Just pan the camera around and let's see.
No.
That was a flat no. Okay, yeah. So we'll carry on. So what we've got here is a Swiss ball, and the Swiss ball is really useful because it does a couple of things. It allows us to create a bit of a pushback force. So when I'm pushing into the wall here, I can actually make my right foot go light and my left foot can push into it. So from a golfing standpoint, obviously I'm now demonstrating a left-handed swing. So I'm making a backswing, and as I'm making a backswing, I can start to feel how my pelvis rotates. So you will have never done a backswing of a left-hander. So this will be ultimate test. So pop that on there, and then just put your hands across your shoulders. That's it, good. And now you're going to turn your right shoulder behind the golf ball. Where the golf, no, your right shoulder. That's it. And so Kate's never made a backswing as a left-hander before in her life, and now all we have to do is just start to roll that Swiss ball. Now, if Kate starts to push into the Swiss ball a little bit more, all of a sudden she's got some load going through her left foot, or as a right-hander golfer, it would be your right foot. And very quickly, you can learn how to rotate as a golfer through the middle. Most golfers see rotation as turning their hips, but actually rotation comes from leg length a lot of the time, and the force is vertically going up through the legs. And so now roll the Swiss ball back the other way. So you're going to make your right shoulder now go, and you're going to start to face it. That's it. So there's more of a backswing of a right-handed golfer. So the Swiss ball really gives a golfer the opportunity to feel how the pelvis should rotate. So now,
Got a very quickly got a good question come in.
Like it, Simon. Radhika.
So Radhika said, would you train differently during a period where you're playing lots of golf versus not? I.e., how would you prepare physically and manage the body accordingly for a period where you're playing lots of tournaments, things, and then, say, for example, off-season winter period?
Me, not so much, because I'm used to maybe doing quite a lot of strength, but for a lot of people, I would probably, you don't want to be in pain and trying to walk a golf course if you've sort of been doing high volumes of... Sorry.
Our director in the background there just moved. Yeah, lovely, that's it. I know, you can't get the actors these days, James.
The good thing is she does do what James asked her to.
I know, see? So most people would focus more on trying to increase like strength and things like that, maybe in the winter months when they're not playing as much, and do more sort of maintenance work in the summer months when they're playing a lot more. You can still obviously do your strength training, but you might want to look at what days you're doing it in comparison to playing. Yeah. I probably wouldn't be going and doing like really, really heavy deadlifts on a Thursday and then going into a competition on Saturday when my DOMs hit. Yeah. So maybe you want to do that more at the beginning of the week and then do more mobility and work like that just before your competition, so you're sort of ready. The main thing that I find that is now actually starting to become more of a thing, and I harp on about it all the time, is warming up properly. So I did an experiment with, it was a little while ago. I did an experiment.
I always like bacon and egg, to be fair. Massive bacon and egg fan. Anyway, carry on, Kate. As we salivate about breakfast.
We did a test with a few guys. I made them all hit their drivers, and then I said, right, we're not going to warm up hitting any balls. We took all the information on TrackMan. You came into the gym for, 5 minutes? They had a long band, a mini band, and we did a 5-minute warm-up. We then went back and hit balls, and they were all a lot more down the middle. Yeah, and there was one of the guys who was gaining 30 yards.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, it was me at +2 and about a sort of 105, 110 mile an hour club speed, and it went from another at sort of 95, 100 mile an hour, and single-digit golfer. And I think it was Pat, actually, who's fairly new to the game, at 85, I think, mile an hour club speed. And the gains were, for me, less proportionally, but still really noticeable, really noticeable. And again, how easy it was to move and go back to staying balanced to deliver the club so much better. But I think, if I'm right, I think Pat was 30 yards.
And a lovely little segue into Kate now does a Fitness Friday, which she just had a warm-up routine for hips and glutes that's just come out today. So go check that out. They're coming out every Friday. So lovely little segue in there to the warm-up, like the way you did that. So we talked about the TheraBand as well. So this is your magic pink band.
Yeah,
So
that's blue.
Yeah, that's blue. So
because I had this thing in my head where I thought that hitting on grass was going to be so much harder. Technically, maybe it is, but if you've been, I guess, taught to strike the ball properly, it shouldn't really matter if I'm on grass or a mat.
yeah, with the TrackMan data, right?
Yeah.
It'll tell you.
And so, I don't know, maybe I was scared of hurting the grass or something, I don't know, but I kept pulling my arms in. And Stuart presented me with a pink band. I still have it in my golf bag, actually. And I had to do all my swings, actually this one's probably a bit short, but pushing down on the band to make me...
So the band is creating a good radius between the two hands and the chest. And so you've got, so you've got a force going down through the middle of your chest, which is creating handle and pressure on the handle, or should I say pressure and force on the handle. And it's something that a lot of golfers don't do because everyone is trying to create flight. And I think that's one of the things, particularly with new golfers. I mean, you think about, if I may borrow the club, if we just talk about cricket for a moment. There was a chap I was away on a golf trip, and I said, golf is like cricket. He said, what are you talking about? Cricketers make rubbish golfers. I said, you're joking. Cricketers make great golfers. But with cricket, you've got a cricket bat, and that's where you're standing. I've never played much cricket, so I apologise if my cricket is not the best. But the object of the exercise with a cricket ball is to not hit it in rose ed, right? Let a fielder catch it. So invariably, you're always stepping in and driving the bat and the grip and the handle all the way down to the floor. Yeah. With a golfer, they grip onto the golf club and all their hands are feeling is the club shaft. In the same way the batter is. But the batter hasn't got at the other end a loft angle. Because if the cricketer jammed his handle forwards and he had loft at the bottom, he'd still hit the ball up in the air. Whereas when a golfer, for the first time, grips a golf club, they don't really see and recognise the loft. All they do is they feel the handle and the shaft. And so if they were to come into strike with the shaft lean, in their mind's eye, that's not going to make the ball take off. So they immediately try to help the ball in the air. So they lean the shaft back, and when you lean the shaft back, the club expands too early, and that's why it pulls in. And so pressure and force down through the handle this way is actually the very thing that creates shaft lean, not pushing the handle forwards. So when Kate pushed the force down through the underneath of her chest, it created the shaft lean. And all that you then are going to make sure you do is that you're spinning the circle around, and that's why the leg action and the Swiss ball is so important. So I think there are so many commonalities through all of the things that we do in life and in many sports and the work in the gym. I think once people understand that, I think it becomes much easier to learn the game quickly. And that's why it's been a really interesting journey with Kate. And, you know, I mean, in real terms, you don't really practice too much. I mean, you don't play much golf compared to someone that is really great, because you're a busy lady. You've got a family, you're busy with work, you've got a social life. So all of a sudden, you just don't get the time to go out and play and practice of a golfer that is trying to play and practice. So actually, reality is, in terms of hardball amount of time that you've played, you're 6 months. And yet, to get someone swing it like that and hit it the way you have is pretty outstanding. And I think it's our job as coaches, as people in the industry, is we've had such a participation increase our job is to keep these golfers here and make it really enjoyable and make the experience what it should be playing a new sport. Because if you get on a bike, you ride down the road, you enjoy your bike and you get fitter as long as you don't stop off at Five Guys. But you get fitter, you get stronger. With golf, you can comfortably spend a fortune on lessons, on equipment, and it not be right, and you don't get better. And I think we need to really make sure that everyone is learning in the right way, in the right manner. And I think we've never been in a better position now as coaches, as fitters, as trainers. If you can have it all under one roof, not to keep plugging us, but we've got it all under one roof. Why would you not want to spend what feels like really, in this grand scheme of things, a short amount of time to then improve and then go out and play a lot of golf and enjoy it? So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. And so, what does the future hold for Kate and her golf? It's got some golf coming up over.
Yeah, I've got a few pro-ams coming up.
Yeah. Have you enjoyed winter golf because you played a little bit of winter golf last year?
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the rain and the cold. I didn't play a great deal last winter. I mainly went in the sim and just practiced. I mean, I'm obviously quite lucky. I can maybe just pop upstairs and use the facility. I would like to get my handicap down a little bit. So that's
officially 23 point something now at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Was it either 22.6 or 23.6? I can't remember. So yeah, I've only just really officially got a handicap. So that was quite exciting. So I'd like to get that down. I'd like to be under 20 by maybe this time next year.
Oh, goodness me.
And those of you that know Kate, when she says, I think I'd kind of like to be, basically means I'm going to be.
Yes, that's right.
And we all know that she will be as well.
There's no ambiguity.
When Kate puts her mind to something, there is nothing stopping her. So very, very impressive in that respect.
Well,
I don't think I've ever met anyone with the same level of determination, commitment and drive as Kate. So.
Well, thank you.
Dedication, commitment and drive and stubbornness, yes.
Well, thank you for joining us on Alive.
Thank you.
And no doubt we will be coming into your...
Yeah, you can come into the gym. I'll be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, that's right. And put us to our places.
And a lot less nervous than standing on that mat.
Maybe us in a couple of tight shorts might, put the viewers off. Kate. Kate, high five. Good work. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Thanks, Mrs. D.
Well, a fascinating journey for Kate, and it's not an easy game by any means. We all know that, and to come in there and whack one away and do it on camera, and if we just, James, if we can pull up Kate's TrackMan data on the screen here.
So one comment just come in from AQ. Kate, focus on short game. Chipping and putting will drop you down to teens.
Yeah, there you go. AQ.
Which is actually very true. The quickest way to improve your golf and lose shots off your handicap actually is, we all like to hit the ball a long way and straight, but actually if you can get good around the greens from 50 yards and in, turning 3 shots into 2 or 4 shots into 3 actually is where the fastest improvement is going to come.
Absolutely. Putting as well. Yeah, let's not talk about putting. So of course we've got young Pat in the background. Are you possibly one of the shortest members of our staff? But yeah, yes. Come on in, Pat. Come on in. So Pat is our after sales manager.
Sales manager, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your role. So here's the camera right in front of us here, Pat. Nice of you. Nice of you to join us. So tell us a little bit about your role at Precision Golf. How long have you been with us?
I've been with Precision Golf now, coming up about 4 years. So yeah, 4 years which have flown by.
Yes.
Yeah, completely flown by. And I think within the first 2 months of being here, I sort of fell in love with the game. And prior to having a child, end of last year, my wife became very quickly a golf widow at weekends, Sundays especially. So, yes. So yeah, no, it's fantastic, and just as an amateur player, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoy the social aspect and just getting out and getting on the course and
But I
And
think
have-
that's
yeah.
such a, what you said there is such a reason why golf has become so popular again. Enjoying the social aspect, enjoying you. It's the kind of sport that once you get into it, you really get into it. And actually the one, you could say camaraderie or banter,
Yes. Yeah.
is it's a part of being able to spend some time with friends somewhere you really like. You know, golf courses are really lovely places to be, and something that you can see quite a quick improvement once you pick it up. And that was, going back to Kate, that was one of the things, was seeing how rapidly she improved, and then knowing that at some point there's that plateau coming.
Yes.
And as you said, mentally, how do you deal with that? But it's something that you can see a quick improvement of. And Pat, it was really fascinating seeing how quickly the bug bit.
Yeah. And
How
of
hard.
course, you guys went down and played at Sandown, didn't you, yourself and Kate?
We did.
Yeah, and had
Yes.
some games down there.
We've played a few courses around now. Where,
Didn't Kate nearly kill a bird?
nearly, she hit 2 birds in 2 different courses, one being a duck and I think one being a pigeon. Both survived, so we don't have to report them to the OSPCA. But
Brilliant.
yeah, it's every time I play with Kate, we seem to have a few memorable moments,
Yeah,
shall
no.
we say? So it's great fun.
The game's built up of that.
Really good, really
So-
good.
so
So going
what
back
would-
to my position,
Yes,
yeah.
your role.
So after sales is once the client has been through the fitting process, they've had the quotation sent to them, any questions have been answered with the fitter, and they've gone ahead with the build. Essentially, I will then look after the client, any inquiries up until handover and get everything ready for the handover as well. So I'll work closely with obviously my colleague Jen in the workshop on the production side to make sure everything goes smoothly. If there's any delays, we would let you know. Any problems with manufacturer parts, fingers crossed, not too many. But we then look after you and give you the service that obviously you expect. So
Yeah, and I think that the after sales is, that lull between placing the order. I mean, whether you've bought a sofa, a cup of tea, or whatever it might be, that in between time of handing over the money and then getting the product, none of us like to be in the dark, do we? And I think that's
No.
the bit that
Yep.
we've really strived and pushed forwards on, and interacting between, once the invoice has been settled and the build being received.
yes, the transparency really it's having that transparency of knowing where your order is and keeping you up to date as well.
That's
So-
probably for the business has been one of the biggest challenges, is as we've got bigger and bigger and busier and busier. I mean, there are times where there are, just in the ready-to-build queue, we've had 125 builds, and then in the part received, we've had 175. So it's been, especially with the delays and actually what's happened the last couple of years, the fact that we haven't known when product's coming in. Did you say, Pat's role's become incredibly difficult and busy because, what do you tell someone if you don't have any news? You want to give them news, but then actually they'd rather not hear any news than not get anything because you don't have any news. So it's that side's it's been a real challenge actually the last couple of years. And so Pat and now sort of Jen, who's coming to help us in the workshop and the production side as well. Those roles have become more and more and more key to the business and the function as we get busier and busier, and as we continue to do so, we'll no doubt have to bolster that team as well.
So what's the daily difficulty that you face, Pat, with the after sales work? Is it manufacturers being able to back up our orders, or might it be something else?
It can be a variety of things where it would be, say, supply from the manufacturers, where we'd like to inform the clients of where their orders are and if there's any issues there. Then if there's any clients who have had any malfunctions on their equipment, not through our build, obviously, but through heads failing, etc., we can then get their equipment back to us. And the beauty of what we do is that they can literally come straight back to us and we will deal with it. No headache for the client having to go back to a superstore to then try and ask for a refund, or do you have a receipt? We have everything on file. They can give us a call. We can even organise a collection for them. We will then get the club or clubs back, and then we can deal with it that way. Peace of mind for the client. Or it can be dealing with a client who needs a order shipped abroad and getting that sorted to a safe and secure destination. So
And of course, there'll be guys. I mean, as we all know, I mean, this is not an exact science, and we are dealing with the human element, aren't we? So there'll be guys, I guess, that have walked away, fitted beautifully. All of the data has worked towards improvement gains, and then when they've gone out and played, I mean, as we know, I mean, they could be on a bit of a slump in their game, and they don't feel the equipment is quite right for them. How do we deal with that?
all they need to do is give me a call, and we will always insist or get them in to the nearest time slot that's good for them. And we'll fit them in to come back, speak to their original fitter, hopefully. Obviously, it depends on what diary days they can work out, but they're obviously able to see any fitter. And we would always get them in to recheck everything, peace of mind to retest, make sure everything's working. So there's no extra cost. It's a case of the quality after service that we will always offer them. So.
And I think that's quite important, isn't it? I mean, you'll have clients that will have just the best fit. I mean, gained 30 yards, whatever it might be, more improved accuracy. But we all know the game can bite you sometimes, and it just sets a question off, doesn't it? Are these quite right for me? I think that's.
It's not an exact science. We see someone for one session, so 99% of the time, everything because there's normally a really kind of tangible difference to be seen. So you can make a very safe improvement in someone's performance. But as you say, part of it is if there's a little doubt or a little question, you want that. 30% of what we do is mental. Yes. You want that confidence to go right. I know the clubs are fine, and even if it's cross-referencing, going nope, it's all fine. Just had a bad day, or actually you might change a setting on the drive by half a degree, and just to see that little bit more flight, or to drop the flight down a little bit more. It's that confidence to say, right, we've checked it, it's all good, I can just go out and play now. That's massively key. We want people to contact us if they've got any questions at all. And traditionally, Brits aren't very good at that. We don't like. It's not comfortable. Yes. Other nationalities are very good at telling you when something's not, when they're not happy with something. And the most important thing is that we know. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. And ultimately, that's the most important thing. Is any questions we need to know.
Yeah, and I think that it probably goes with sort of hand in hand in the UK of dealing with after sales service, isn't it? I mean, you don't often have a warm, friendly face that is there to say, not quite right for you. Yeah, come on, let's get it sorted. Our job is to improve people's performance, right? And if things aren't quite right, it's an arm around the shoulder. Come on in, let's help you. Let's see what we can do for you. And I think that's rather than they don't work. I'm just going to sell those. Go buy something else. It's just not about that. Is it you're buying?
It defeats the whole object of what we do. It's a bit like going to you for a lesson, getting something to work with, and going, well, it doesn't feel comfortable. So I'm just going to go back to what I was doing, because the whole reason for changing it is to improve.
Of course.
And if there's something that doesn't quite compute, or like sometimes I've come back to you and go, should I be doing this? You go, just keep doing it. But it's that,
I would never
as you say, it's that arm around the shoulder. Go, no, it's fine. Just stick with it. Yeah. There's a reason we're doing it. And equally speaking, the club side of things, it could be a fractional change on lie. Yes. Tiny change in the grand scheme of things, but that can just iron out a kink, that, be it mental or physical, that just means you can go out and just play and enjoy the game more. That's the whole idea. We're all doing this to enjoy the game. And we need to see Pat make a bit of shot as well.
Yes, come on, Pat. Well, we've got Kate's club here. Is that probably your size, isn't it?
Pretty much so.
Oh, no. It's such a cheap shot, of a height shot. I'm a bit disappointed in myself that I pulled out the height card at the start. But look, I love you, Pat. You know that. Let's see you hit one.
Okay.
Let's see you fire one away.
Sweaty palms. Sweaty palms. Okay.
We're not that we want to compare you to other members of staff, of course. We've got Kate's best one at 120-yard carry. Let's see if we can beat that.
Okay.
Come on, Pat, you got it.
No.
It was straight, Pat. It was straight. Go on, we're going to give you another one.
Sweaty
We're going
palms.
to give you another one. We're going to give you another one.
Come on.
But again, as we said earlier, this is like first tee stuff.
I know.
Pat wasn't aware we were going to do this.
No, I know.
Has everyone got a glove?
You
got a
have
glove?
completely thrown him under the bus.
We don't have a glove anywhere.
A glove? No, absolutely not. You're going to have to have
no.
another go. No, you're going to have to.
Any
have another
gents got a glove in the bay there? Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
go. I mean, that feels like
There we
he's
go.
it feels like he's cheating.
Oh,
Proper golfer. Proper
I-
golfer.
I'm just going to come over to here and just ask Kate, how do you feel about Pat using the glove?
I didn't
oh, that's
have one.
better. Okay, right.
It was all about the glove. It was all about the glove.
It's like the first, all honours.
Well, I'm going to have to tell you, Pat,
No way there.
Kate's done you by a yard. 2 yards, actually 2 yards. But look, it's still a fair effort.
Thank
You did a
you.
lovely little draw down there.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us. Well done. Thanks for Pat
Thanks.
coming.
Have the microphone.
So
Good job.
we'll get we'll see Pat off. Come on, Pat, off you
Come
go.
on,
Come on,
so
come on.
I'm
Don't steal all the air time. Thanks very much for joining us, Pat. So
Tom's now really looking forward to what we're going to do.
yeah, come on, Tom. We're going to get Tom in. He's one of our fitters. Welcome along, Tom. Thanks for joining us. Let's see which camera we're on. There we are. I know where we are. No, this is our camera up here.
Okay.
So, Tom, tell us a little bit about your history with the game first. Let's. What's
Started playing about 9 years old. Just literally ran a little short par three. Dad was a captain at a golf club. He went up for meetings, chucked me on the par three course, and just go and hit a ball. Like any kid, football was really the main desire. I was a goalkeeper, which was great until the goals got a bit taller and I didn't. Wider-wise, I was fine. Always seemed to cover that side of it. But height-wise, just lost interest in football, really. Played golf from there. Sort of got more and more into it. Spent a whole summer when I should have been studying, playing golf.
like a true golfer.
Yeah. Got down to around 3, and then probably in between that time, I came and saw James and Simon for first fit, trying to improve and just get that little edge, and completely changed what I knew about golf clubs and how they're fitted. So always sort of had an interest from that, and then played for a little bit, tried to make it sort of mini tours things. Standard was up here, my ability was here, and then fell into the coaching side. Sort of did a lot of coaching, some fitting, and then sort of had a chat with James and Simon. They were looking for someone. Thought, well, I want to jump at that opportunity and know the guys really well, and sort of been here about 6 months now. And
Tell everyone what happened the first time you came to Precision Golf and who was there and what they had in the boot of their car.
So really excited. Sort of got a full bag fit with Simon. Thinking turn up, okay, hit a few shots, and Simon said to me, he's like, "Oh, we've got a surprise for you." And I'm thinking, "Oh, okay, maybe it's a new club, like someone's released something. I'll get to try it before anyone else does." And then all of a sudden, around the corner, Colin Montgomerie walks in, Ryder Cup in hand. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a bit of a different surprise." And kindly the guys sort of did my fitting after, but probably spent 3 hours talking to Colin about like what he's done on tour, little stories about his putting, everything like that. It was really interesting. So that was a great experience, something to remember whilst I was here. But and just from there, really, it's grown and grown. And I've been here about 6 months now and just loved everything about it. The team are great, everyone's friendly. Everyone we sort of see is lovely to sort of talk to, meet, improve. It's fantastic, really.
Actually, Tom, having been to see us, was very useful. He'd seen how the business operated, how the fittings function, the process, had seen it from the inside. So actually, when it came to having the chat about the role here, we knew you understood completely how we worked, how we operated, and obviously the amount of demo options, things has upped quite a lot since then. But to have been through the process and still want to be stood on this side of it was really useful. I think one of the things that's impressed me particularly is Tom has a very unflappable character.
He makes me feel calm.
Just delivery, and he's got a really lovely manner in the fitting bay. And I think obviously product knowledge and things is a major part of what we do. But I think there's one of the key things is how you deliver a message. I think that's one of the great strengths of Tom. Is just a great way of putting things across.
Communication. You can have all of the knowledge in the world. If you can't communicate and get someone to look through your glasses, the knowledge is wasted, isn't it? I mean, you, as what we all do here, everyone comes in with their sort of own agenda, their own understanding, beliefs, and part of that you've got to sort of gently push through that, haven't you? We're not here to make anyone feel inferior or anything like that. It's about a really nice experience of how we can help you move towards a better set of golf clubs. Yeah. That's a challenge that you face daily. Is there techniques that you use to navigate that journey?
I suppose part of it, from a coaching background, you're looking at, okay, where can they improve in that sense? Sometimes you just have to be honest with the player and just say, look, I feel like your technique-wise, we're going to struggle to get down to the sort of end of the road where we want to be, and maybe it's a case of you just have to be upfront with people and be honest. But I think that's part of why I enjoy it so much here, is you can do that. It's not we have to sell you something, you have to leave with a new golf club. It's, we want you to leave with the best equipment. If you're not going to achieve that on the day, then come back again, we'll do it again. And yeah, it's hard sometimes to tell someone that, but I think if you can then get them to trust you and get them on your side of, okay, he's not here to sell me something just for the sake of it, it builds that relationship, that rapport. And yeah, all of a sudden you've got someone who will trust you every step of the way, and rather than thinking, I mean, even earlier had a fit and he had a list of clubs he wanted to try. And straight away it was like, oh, but I want your feedback. And I could go, well, that's not going to work for you because of that club head design. And they put their trust in you, and you give them a result, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, I can believe that, I can buy into it. The information's there as well, which is great.
And of course,
your question to pertinent to that, Colin said, how do you keep up with product knowledge? So I mean, versus fitters, it's quite. There are periods within the year where it goes nuts. You know, beginning of the year, January, February time, there's every major brand basically is launching a product. Shafts is a little bit more. I guess they have longer product cycles, but yeah, I mean, it's a challenge to keep up with some of it. But a lot of it, it's a bit like, you know, from a training point of view for the fitters coming in, a lot of it is you're getting it in hand, and so you know.
Yeah, just trialing clubs out. I mean, you've got to hit it first, and then again, part of it is also what you feel might not be what someone else feels exactly, so you have to compensate a little bit. And some things you think, oh, I've got the perfect scenario, like setup. You give it to them, and it just doesn't work. So you just think, oh, everything should slot into place, but it doesn't always come across that way. But yeah, product knowledge. I mean, obviously, email earlier about different shafts. I'm quite lucky through the PGA. We do a lot of videos that we can study products, things like this, keep up to date on stuff like that as well. So yeah, I'm just continuously trying to sort of refresh my knowledge, learn more. I mean, every day I come in here, I just learn something different, and whether that's just a simple thing of how half a gram can change dynamics of how a club feels, but it's really important when you're trying to fit people and give them the highest sort of spec and results.
So the fitting that you've done previously, I suppose this is a bit more fitting on acid, right? I mean,
yeah.
The opportunity of the acid, the options that you now have at your disposal, yeah. I suppose to not have such a narrow window of club shafts but club heads, it's really nice because that chap came in with his own ideas, yeah. For you to then be able to, well, what about trying this one over here? And it's something that he didn't actually potentially consider, and to then get a gain out of it, that's like, you know, Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Again, a present that you didn't really know you were getting.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's having so many choices is great. It's obviously before it's a fitting cart you get sent by a company, and there's nothing against them. They're obviously just providing you with what generally their stock shafts are because it's easy for them to produce and sell. And yeah, you sort of go, oh, okay, that's close enough, that will do, that's a little bit better. But here it's, you can just fine tune it to the nth degree. It's like, oh, that's just not quite right. Maybe it's just add a little bit here, or we can try this shaft, it just balances slightly different. It just gets you a little bit closer than you probably could with just the basic stuff you can get from fitting carts, which is great.
Fantastic. Well, as you said, it doesn't pay for the brands to have 500 shafts on the wall, because every shaft they add to the fitting cart, they've got to duplicate 250 times countrywide. They've then got to stock it. So we don't have to hold stock of all the products because we order the products for each person who comes in each build. So we can afford to have all these options, so we're not having to hold 10 of each of them in stock. So, one of the questions we often get is, well, how come the Titleist or TaylorMade or whoever it is don't have this shaft? I say, well, because it costs them hundreds of thousands of pounds to add one shaft to their demo outfit, let alone the stock. So the being independent and not having to just use the products that are available through brands, it allows us to be sort of more wide-ranging and say, right, this one's nearly right. As you said, well, actually, we've now got one up there that we can go just a little bit this way or just a little bit that way. As you say, you test something, fitting's trial and error. Ultimately, it's from a point of knowledge where we know why we're testing something and what the difference is. But until someone hits it, you never know for certain. You can have a very good inkling, but you never know for certain whether it's going to work or not. So if you try something and go, oh, hang on, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do, you say, well, if I've changed that aspect and it's had that result, well, okay, there's another way of getting that delivery to change and the pattern to change, so let's go down that route. But it's always narrowing in. You're taking the margins from too heavy, too light, and zoning it in, bend profiles and kick points and feel, and you take the language. It's a different language everyone uses to describe what they're experiencing, and it's ultimately it's just doing it, isn't it? You've got to, as Tom, I've been coached before as well. You're used to interpreting what people say, so it's a massive part of it.
Well, Tom, it's time. It's time. Get yourself on that mat, big boy. You've thrown it out there that you're a pro as well. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't have done that. I mean, it's a ladies 7-iron as well, so you're going to have to back off some swing speed. Mind you, actually, I saw you hit one, so now this will be perfect for you.
Yeah, it's about right, yeah. I'm useless on first tee, so this isn't going to be good.
I feel nervous for you.
Yeah, I would.
A little bit trapped down the right, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, you had more clubhead speed. That's 80. That's pretty good club speed. Do you want one more?
Yeah, I'd give one more go.
Okay.
Forwards and up is always a good first.
Yeah. Bit of confidence boosting.
Oh, there you go. Got a little bit more out the toe and squared her up. Nice job.
I'll take that.
Very nice.
Tom, Tom, thanks so much for joining us.
That's okay.
And
Pleasure.
obviously, you'll be doing a bit of live feed fitting going forwards. So if you like Tom's approach, you can check him out, and I'm sure you'll enjoy a fitting with Tom. Thanks again, Tom.
That's all right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're coming to the end of today's show. Just make sure we're on the right camera.
I think you and I clearly need to hit that 7-iron as well, don't
Oh,
we?
God.
Because we can't ask everyone else to.
Okay.
And not,
You
and
go
not
for
do
it.
it ourselves.
You go for
that
it.
would be untoward.
Sounds
I'd
good
like to humiliate myself.
Sounds good to me.
And you, preferably as well. So, right.
I've got sweaty palms just thinking about it. Let's whip it down the wing. That's up at the
I'm going to
russets.
quit while I'm ahead.
That's... Practice what you preach, Cartwright. Did she go straight? Well.
One question coming: does Tom do a lesson and fitting package? One of the fitters generally, when they're working here, are all fitters. So it may be that you might be able to communicate with Tom outside of his times here. That's up to him whether he wants to do that or not. But currently, within the studio here, Stuart's our lead coach, does the coaching, and the fitters are full-time fitters. So, but part of fitting itself can often be a little bit of advice. So. It may be that if someone wants to come in and have a session with Tom, part of that session will be highlighting, is there anything that could be improved upon? But yeah, in terms of the fitters' roles are as fitters.
Yep. Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. There's going to be more live streams coming up next week as usual. We're going to be doing, all being well, the putting studio. We'll get that up and running. Mike Clark, he'll be doing a fitting. And potentially something with yourself next week, or potentially Nick, but there will be a live stream with a fitting of some kind next week, so stay tuned for that. We've got lots more content coming up. Don't forget, we've got Wednesday workshop. If you haven't seen that, James talks you through some various different pieces of equipment that are being made in our workshop, so check that out as well. And of course, don't forget Fitness Friday to get those bodies warmed up for the weekend. Once again, thanks, Simon.
Thank you
for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all next time.